introduce you, Paul. I've been a police officer here for 16 years, and in January I reverted to Islam. Alhamdulillah, I'm very happy. Assalamu alaikum, brother, how are you? My role is to interact with the community, so it's really nice because I've been here for so long. I know the young children, I know the the older people, the grandparents, the parents. It's like one big family actually. So if I have a problem with a child, if they're naughty, they've been stepping out of line, I can take them home to the parents. Nobody sort of, a lot of people said, oh, inshallah, one day, Paul, you'll be Muslim. But no one really, they've not sort of tried to force or anything like this. And it's just over a period of time I started studying the Quran, and I started to look into Islam, and it's just such a wonderful, wonderful, peaceful religion. In a period of 5 months, I've read the Quran twice, and I've not missed a prayer. Young people, they'll come to me and they say, Paul, because I can say to them, are you praying? Because I know I'm praying all the prayers, and it's nice because they'll come and say, actually, now we're praying. So, alhamdulillah, it works together. Like I can rub off on them, and then they will inspire me, and they'll rub off on me. People have asked me, why did you choose Islam? And my answer is, I didn't choose Islam. Allah chose me. Alhamdulillah. I've got no doubt in my mind. I've been put here for a reason. I'm not just a local policeman. I'm like a brother, an uncle, a son, a nephew, a friend, and I'm blessed.
What is it about Trump that so terrifies the British that they deployed their most sophisticated intelligence assets against him? Just take a look at Trump's UN speech. Many say rightly that it was a no-holds-barred attack on the UN and globalism. But there was something even more profound in it. It was a frontal assault on the premier pet projects of King Charles: green fascism and unfettered immigration. These are King Charles and the British Empire's two primary weapons for destroying sovereign nations. And in his UN speech, Donald Trump took on both.
In closing, I just want to repeat that immigration and the high cost of so-called green renewable energy is destroying a large part of the free world and a large part of our planet. Countries that cherish freedom are fading fast because of their policies on these two subjects. You need strong borders and traditional energy sources if you are going to be great again.
Now, Charles has spent his whole life building these two pillars of global control. Let's start with green fascism. The British royal family has been in the middle of the creation of the environmentalist movement. One notable point was the World Wildlife Fund created by Prince Philip in the early 1960s. A little later on, Charles championed the whole carbon hoax in the World Economic Forum. But if you go back even further, what you'll find is that the British royal family was one of the key sponsors of eugenics. And after World War II, they recognized they had to repackage it, and hence came the environmental movement. But these policies are not just scientific claptrap, which they are. They represent a fundamental assault on the ideas embedded in Genesis that man is made in the image of the Creator and must continue that creation and multiply and subdue the earth. The British royal family's outlook, and including the current king, are fundamentally pagan. If you don't believe me, check out the design that was on the invitation to King Charles' coronation. It's actually called the Green Man. And believe it or not, a practicing American-based pagan, a guy named Stephen Posh, observed that in King Charles, pagans not only have a so-called ecumenical king, but a, quote, pro-pagan monarch, unquote. Now, if this is blowing your mind like it should be, you need to subscribe to Promethean Action's newsletter. Most Americans have no idea they're watching a pagan king wage war on Christian civilization. But we've been on this case for decades, and we can give you what you need to fight this battle. And let's talk about Charles' so-called ecumenicism. This is the pathway to his other pet project, the spread of Islamic fundamentalism. We're going to put in the show notes an article which called the then Prince Charles of Arabia, and goes through the role of Charles and British intelligence in fostering radical Islamic fundamentalism. The article documents that Charles created Islamic centers across Britain, directly patronized by the British royal family, and that he worked very closely with Saudi Arabia when they were the main sponsors of Islamic terrorism. This is something that Trump shut down in his first administration when his first foreign visit was to Saudi Arabia, and he told them in no uncertain terms to stop supporting ISIS. So it's not surprising that many of our viewers from Britain do point to Charles as the patron of the mass Islamic migration, which is destabilizing their nation and other nations. And if you go back to Trump's UN speech, you'll see he directly attacked both of these pillars. He called the green ideology and unchecked mass migration evil. He left no doubt in terms of what it is. And when you understand that these are Charles's personal weapons of imperial control, Trump's speech becomes a direct declaration of war on the British crown. Now, Trump did more than attack imperial globalist thinking. He raised the banner again for a world of sovereign nations and a peaceful, prosperous future. So, this week we saw the beginning of justice with the Comey indictment, the first domino in exposing decades, and again, if not centuries, of British intelligence operations against America. We saw Trump reveal exactly why they deployed those operations, because he threatens the very foundations, the ideological foundations, as well as the institutional foundations of their global control system. So every indictment that follows will expose more of this network. Every policy Trump implements will dismantle more of their control structure. But you have to be part of this battle, and at the deepest and most informed level. That's what our movement is all about. So celebrate the indictment of Comey by joining Promethean Action as a subscriber or a paying member and get on the inside of the fight. The British thought they could bring down another president. They deployed their most sophisticated intelligence assets. They weaponized everything. But the Comey indictment and other coming indictments and investigations can now bring down their entire apparatus because they risked it all because they know what's at stake. This isn't just about policy differences. This is a fundamental battle between the principles of Western Christian civilization, principles which the American Republic put into full political practice, and the pagan principles of today's kings, oligarchs, and would-be elites.
Three, two, one.
King Charles helped turn on a climate clock at a summit in London this afternoon. It triggers 150 similar clocks across the major cities of the UK, counting down the seconds to 2030, the estimated deadline for limiting climate change to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels.
We have to reduce emissions urgently and take action to tackle the carbon already in the atmosphere. As we tackle this crisis, our efforts cannot be a series of independent initiatives running in parallel. The scale and scope of the threat we face call for a global systems-level solution based on radically transforming our current fossil fuel-based economy to one that is genuinely renewable and sustainable. We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector. With trillions at its disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders, it offers the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition.